Tribe, I really want you to listen up here. Listen very closely. Get your ear close to the TV or your phone. Listen, you only have to say something one time to get it to manifest in your life. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to do this and what's stopping it from happening. Okay, but I got to warn you. Okay, I'm in a little bit of a rambling mood. So this video could be all over the place, but it's going to relate. I promise you, it's going to relate to this topic. Okay, listen, you only have to say something one time to get it to manifest in your life. Okay, see, what happens is we've been manifesting our whole entire life, guys. We've been doing this stuff since birth. Or as long back as we can flip and remember. Okay? That's the truth. Listen, let me give you some examples really fast before we dive into this. Okay? Like, I know all of you have experienced these stuff I'm going to talk about here. Is you ever heard from your best friend for a long time? Maybe you guys live in different states and stuff like that. And I start thinking, I haven't heard of Brian. I haven't heard of Brian for a long time. I wonder what he's doing. I'm going to have to give him a call. Okay, but then what happens, life happens, you get busy with life. Then all of a sudden, like 2 weeks later, Brian texts you. He shoots you a phone call. Is that just a coincidence? You understand? Like we always sit there and say, well, Chad, that's just a coincidence. Well, I mean, I don't know about you. I just know about me. Well, I must have a lot of coincidences in my life. Because that always happens to me. And it probably always happens to you. Because look at it this way. What you think about is a mirror. Manifestation is a mirror. Identity work is a mirror. It's reflecting your thoughts, your habits. You think positive, negative. It's reflecting what you think to be true for you, no matter if it's positive or negative. It's all reflection. So if I sit there and say, I haven't heard of Brian. Dude, I haven't heard of Brian for like a couple years. Then 2 weeks later, he reaches out to me. Okay. I'll give you another, which is kind of a funny example. What's happened to me up in Thailand. I'm up in Surin, Thailand right now. Is Anne in our house, she has like 2 or 3, 4 geckos that kind of they live outside, of course, but they live like their home is somewhere up on the roof somewhere of the house. Okay. And they make this gecko sound. It almost sounds like they're saying gecko, gecko, gecko. That's a really bad imitation, okay? But it really sounds like that, like an echo of a gecko. That's why they call them a gecko. Just, just some like a History Channel stuff about a gecko, okay? But one day I was sitting outside. It was kind of near the end. It was last year, near the end of rainy season. And we were just sitting outside. I think we were just having a beer together. And I sit there and say, well, I haven't seen the geckos for a long time. I haven't even heard the geckos because usually you hear them because they're loud. And she's like, well, yeah, I noticed it too. They're like, well, they're still alive. They're kind of in hibernation mode and stuff like that because it's not bug season, because they come out a lot around bug season. That's what they eat. They eat bugs. Okay. And you know what's so funny? I said that to her. We had a short little meaningless conversation around geckos, like I'm having one here in this video. And you know what? About 2 weeks later, I wake up in the morning. I'm pretty much sleepwalking. I'm walking this way. This doorway right here goes into the living room and outside the front door. I have to let the puppies out in the morning. So I'm sleepwalking. I'm tired. I have my sandals on. And I open the door. When I open the door, it's a little bit dark. I see something fall on my foot and kind of scatter. So I'm thinking it's a regular lizard. So I open the door where sunlight comes in and I'm looking. My eyes are kind of, you know how it is when you first wake up. You can't really see that well. And I start looking and I look closer and it's a baby gecko. And I literally almost step on it. Okay, then as I'm walking with the dogs, I'm thinking to myself, dude, I was just talking about geckos like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Then I go out the door and I almost step on one because it falls on my foot. At the time I wish it was a block of money that fell on my foot. I think we all would wish that. But isn't it amazing? So you see, listen guys, that's exactly how manifesting works. We say something one time and it comes to us. Okay, we've been manifesting our whole life. And I think, like for me, if I sit back and think, I could sit here and make a video and have hundreds of examples like this. Like I think about something, I have a meaningless conversation with somebody and it happens, it occurs. And you can too. If you sit back and think, you can do the same thing. You can relate here to what I'm saying. But you see, what changes is, as I'm getting my drink ready, it's sparkling water, don't worry. Don't get your feathers all tightened up. What is Chad drinking? Sparkling water, baby. Okay, what ends up happening is because manifestation has been popular for decades and centuries. And I'm kind of gonna hope that I can shed some light here, help you guys out, okay? Is you see what ends up happening, we get involved with all these manifestation techniques. And really with all these manifestation techniques, like indirectly, we take it as we got to do these techniques every day. We got to do them all day long. We got to do journaling and affirmations and stuff like that all day long. We got to repeat stuff over and over and over and over and over and over and over to get it embedded into our subconscious mind. But yet, listen to this. But yet, when I do that for my dream house, isn't it funny how my dream house never comes? I do that for my dream car. Isn't it funny how my dream car never comes? You know what I mean? Isn't it funny how I do that for my SP, then my SP seems to disappear somewhere. I can't find him. Like, where are you? Maybe they're hiding behind that pool right there. You understand? I'm being goofy with you a little bit. But at the same time, I could think about a best friend. He calls me in 2 weeks. I can have my gecko story. One falls on my foot and I almost step on it. Okay. I used to work in the entertainment industry. This is why when I went home to visit family, I'm sitting there in the living room and I'm watching TV. And for whatever reason, I started thinking about one of my friends that I worked in entertainment with. And I was thinking, you know what? I haven't heard of him for a long time. And I'm sitting there thinking about it. My golly, about 3 or 4 weeks later, I turn on the TV and there he is in a TV episode. I give no thought. I briefly think about it and I see in my imagination, like my friend. And next thing I know, 3, 4 weeks later, there he is on a TV show. I'm going to dig deep with you here. Why does one work while the other don't? You know why one's work and the other don't? It's because when we wonder about our best friend, we're unattached. We don't care. We move on. We think about it and we never think about it again. And the resistance is nowhere. But once we want something big, life-altering, that's going to change our life, well, we put that thing on a pedestal. We think we have to think about it all the time. We think we have to remind ourselves about it. We have to do all these techniques. We have to do the perfume technique. As I spray perfume on my body, I'm thinking this. I'm like, holy shit. When you're manifesting all the time. Listen, guys, the only difference is in one situation, you're totally letting it go and you don't care and you move on. In the other situation of what you really want, you're attached to it. And I know you've heard this stuff over and over and over and over and over. You're attached. Listen, put it this way. You're contradicting yourself. Sorry, I'm burping, so I'm drinking sparkling water. I'm choking. You didn't know this video was going to be a comedy show. Listen to this. I got some more stories to tell you. Those of you that's into Neville Goddard, that is a long time ago. Okay, when I read, and you can go back and verify what I'm saying if you want. Okay, when I read The Law of the Promise by Neville Goddard, One of the things I noticed with Law of the Promise of Neville Goddard, I love that book, but that whole book is testimonials of his students. And of course, if he uses testimonials, it's kind of the best testimonials. So the whole book is testimonials. So I'm reading it, okay, reading all the testimonials, even if some of them are boring or not, I'm forcing myself to read it. Because I'm like, I'm not just picking and choosing what testimonials I like. I want to read the whole book, And I uncovered something very interesting. You see, in every testimonial that Neville Goddard gave, and if the testimonial gave a timeline of when they started their assumption, when they started working with Neville Goddard, when they started living the end, okay, when they started, and then when the thing they wanted actually came to them, okay. So basically what I'm saying is, I want my dream house, and I started doing the Neville Goddard technique. Or how long did it take for me to manifest my dream house? Okay. Come closer. Okay. You know what I uncovered? And I wrote all these down. I went through like every testimonial and wrote down their answer. And everybody, it was within a 3 to 6 week ratio. And the people were manifesting huge fucking things, guys. They're like back in Neville Goddard's day, dude, they're manifesting like $100,000, which would probably be $1 million now. You know what I mean? Within 3 to 6 weeks of starting, of putting out the intention, it came to him within 3 to 6 weeks. And again, I'm not talking about manifesting a cup of coffee, okay? I'm not talking about manifesting a parking space. I'm not talking about manifesting a pin. You understand? I'm not talking about manifesting your SP back when they're going to break up with you again. I'm talking about life-shattering things. I'm talking about, listen guys, I'm talking about things that are going to change your fucking life. You understand? Those are the type of things they're manifesting. You understand? Now, I almost want to put this disclaimer in here really fast. That's the same reason why I created a 30-day breakthrough challenge, even though this sounds like an info commercial. Okay, the link's in the description. Check it out. I'm not even going to say check it out. 100% you got to jump into the challenge. Okay, because you have to understand, guys, listen to this. You got to understand that you want to manifest life-shattering things that's going to change your fucking life, but the old you cannot come with you. The old you is not going to manifest your dream house, your dream car, and you being a millionaire. The old you cannot do that. It's an identity shift. It's a self-concept. That's what the challenge is all about. You manifesting big fucking things, okay, without all the language in there. Okay? So let's continue back to my story. And going back to Law of the Promise, when I saw this and I wrote everything down, my first thought was, you know what my first thought was? It was never Goddard full of shit. Because I almost was just like, how could everybody flip and manifest huge things within 3 to 6 weeks? Is he lying? Is he making up this stuff? Okay. I could get if they were manifesting a cup of coffee. But then I started digging deeper just within myself, sitting there kind of thinking about it. And I started comparing things. I started connecting the dots a little bit. And I started thinking like, well, if we're always manifesting, it's not the manifesting techniques that brings it in. If we're always manifesting, whatever I say has to come to me. Whatever thought I believe has to come to me. And with all the stories I told, my gecko story, my friend's stories, I got millions of stories like that. Listen guys, all those things happen within 3 to 6 weeks. Isn't it amazing? Think back in your own life. Even though I'm talking kind of fast right now. Think back in your own life, those examples, you're thinking about someone, all of a sudden out of the blue, they call you. Isn't it amazing? It's within 3 to 6 weeks. It makes you think there for a second, huh? Why does it come so fast? Why do these big things come so fast? Because listen, guys, they're treating it just like they're thinking about a best friend and they let it go and never think about it again. They're thinking about my gecko story. I had a short little conversation with Aang. That was it. I never thought about it again. Okay. And it flipping happened. A gecko fell on my foot. No joke, no lie. But what happens is, to get a little bit more serious here, what happens is we get in our own way. Okay. We get involved with all this work, manifestation, the old school prosperity teachers, people teach nowadays, the new school. Okay, we get so tied up with Neville Goddard, living the end. Let me tell you how the real living the end actually happens. Okay, this is how they really do it. This is what Neville Goddard really meant. Is when you live in the end, you already have what you want. You already have it. That's why he said act like it. Okay, meaning like if you want your dream house, you go straight to the end. You already have your dream house. So what Neville Goddard really meant, you already have your dream house. So now you're in your 3D world. Listen, guys, you don't do nothing. You don't do no actions that contradict that state. You understand? Let me give you an example. Okay, if I want my dream house and living in the end is, Chad, you need to go straight to the end. You already have what you want. So when you wake up in the morning, you already have your dream house. You're already living in your dream house. So what would you be doing? How would you dress? The decisions you would make? Where would you go? What would your work be? And I align with that. Listen, I align with it. Okay, now what we end up doing, why things don't work, is we contradict that. What we end up doing, we wake up and we think, I look out the window and I'm like, oh, dude, I'm still in this Thai style house. You understand? We wake up and we start thinking like, how did I come up with a down payment? Okay. We wake up and we think, well, maybe I should search real estate people. See, all those actions contradict the end. Listen, guys, like if you already have what you want, you already have your dream house, would you be looking for a real estate person? No, you would not. If you already have it, would you wake up one day and be like, how can I afford this? No, you're not going to think that way because you already have it. You already bought it. You're not going to be doing any of that. Okay? See, what you have to get is, with manifesting, all I do is I gotta say at one flipping time. I don't need to do a million manifesting techniques. I don't need to go to bed at nighttime and go into sats every single night. Because listen, most of you are doing this, but most of you are doing it from not having it. I should tell you how to go into sats because there's actually a right and wrong way. Most of you are doing it the wrong way. Okay, I won't go into the whole thing, but I will tell you this. If you dig into Neville Goddard's material, okay, Neville Goddard tells you exactly how to do it. Should I tell you? Listen, when Neville Goddard entered sats, that's a state you can sleep, okay? When he entered his imagination, okay, even before bedtime, listen, he put himself in a relaxed state first. He didn't just sit down and lay down and be like, okay, I'm trying to force myself to think about my dream house. I'm trying to live in the end. He's not doing that. He's sitting down and he's almost like, sometimes Neville Goddard really practiced basically self-hypnotism to hypnotize himself. Okay, he put himself in a relaxed state first. And then once he was totally relaxed, he naturally went into thinking about what he wanted, imagining him already having it. That's how he did it. Okay, listen, guys, we do the same things naturally. Okay, when we lay down without thinking about manifesting, when we lay down and take a nap, okay, what do we end up doing? We lay down, we take a nap, we sit there, we're like, oh my God, it feels so good just to sit here and like think about nothing because maybe you're stressed at work. You know what I mean? Maybe it's only me thinking those things. Like a lot of time when I lay down, I want to think of absolutely nothing. You understand? But I find myself, once I lay there for like 5-10 minutes, I'm completely relaxed. I will naturally just start thinking about my dream car. And I would naturally put myself in my dream car. I'm driving it. See, what I'm doing is I'm entering stats naturally. Okay, that's the same thing Neville Goddard taught, but you have to do it naturally, but you're not doing it. You're trying to force it when Neville Goddard never taught forcing it. Neville Goddard never taught you have to do this stuff every single night. Because again, what is your state of consciousness behind something? You understand? listen, we're constantly contradicting our state. I'll tell you one more example, then we'll go. This is a current example, okay? Aang and I, a lot of you know if you keep up with the videos, my recent videos anyway, Aang and I are getting ready to move. Okay, move to Bangkok, buy a house, okay? And right now we're in Surin. This is her family house where her dad lives. And we came up here to take care of her dad. And because his health he was doing really bad. Now he really recovered. So now we want to get out of the village. You understand? So either go down to Bangkok or Jomtien. Okay. Now Jomtien's by the ocean. Okay. So be a beach dude. Okay. Chad living by the beach. Okay. But what I found is I've been doing this stuff for a long time. And the biggest thing you got to do, guys, you got to really build your self-awareness about yourself. Not self-awareness about what other people are doing, okay? An awareness of yourself, an awareness of your own thoughts, your own decisions, what you're thinking, what you're doing, your actions behind something, the reason why you're doing something. You know what I mean? You need to be aware of all this stuff, okay? And it takes a little bit of time. This is kind of more advanced stuff right here. Okay, if you stick with this stuff long enough, you'll end up doing this. And what I found was doing this, I felt like I actually had a conversation with Aang yesterday about this. Okay, because I told her yesterday, like we spent this whole week, you know, with a townhouse we wanted, trying to, you know, she's talking to the banks, negotiating and stuff like that. And by the middle of the week, like my gut was just tingly, like I felt off. Like I felt like we were forcing it, you know what I mean? And the one place we wanted or thought we wanted fell through. It didn't go through, okay? Which is probably a blessing in disguise anyway. And it was a smaller place, plus we got like 3 dogs, okay? But it was kind of amazing when I talked to her yesterday and I said, you know what? We need to calm down here because it seems like we're trying to force the outcome. Okay, like every day we wake up, we're talking about it. Every day we wake up, I see all my stuff is packed in the living room. Okay, and Aang is so frustrated of being here because there's drama in the village. So she really don't want to be here at all. Like I don't want to be here at all either, but I'm kind of more composed about it. Okay, but she's creating all this force and friction and lots of times she'll get up like in a bad mood because she don't want to be here. And it's like, what's taking so long? Like, you know, you know what I mean? Like the universe, what's taking so long? But I told her yesterday, it just seems like we're trying to force the outcome. Okay. And the reason why we're trying to force the outcome is because both of us don't want to be here. Both of us really want to go. You understand? So but listen, when you don't want to be here, you're forcing the outcome. You're not in a state of living in. You're not in a state of having. Because listen, we're contradicting our state. Because the reason why we're contradicting it, because we know we're still here. You understand? And we don't want to be here. We're reminded we're here every day because of drama, music, whatever. So it pretty much pulls us out of the end. It pulls us out of, we already have what we want. It's coming. Okay. And we start creating friction. We start fighting it. The more you try to fight stuff, the more you try to force things to happen, the more harder you work. Isn't it weird? The more harder you work, things just stay away from you. No matter what it is. Now, even if you need money, the more harder you work to earn that money, it's like the money is getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And isn't it weird when you finally just hit a point where you don't give a fuck, you don't give a shit. You're just like, okay, I can't take it no more. Just whatever happens, happens. That's when a miracle comes in. Okay. And I know I'm all over the place. I'm talking fast. But listen, like the decision Aang and I kind of made, I was like, you know what? Today's Saturday. We had a conversation yesterday. I didn't know what the day was yesterday. So I said, what is today? And she said, Friday. And I said, you know what? Our job for the weekend is we don't discuss it. Let it go. Let it be. We don't talk about the house. We don't talk about anything. We don't talk about loans. We don't talk about that one because I knew that we're contradicting everything. I knew we're trying to figure it out when we already have. Okay. I know this because my awareness was just like tingly all over, like my spidey senses was tingly all over the place. So I said, this weekend, we don't talk about it. We let it go, let it be. Okay. And she kind of got what I was saying too, but she was feeling the same thing. Like, you know, that even for herself, that she's really trying to force it. And, you know, like when I'm talking like this, forcing, it is a natural behavior, but when you really don't want to be somewhere, it's easy to fall into it. And one of the things I told her that I was kind of just thinking about yesterday, I got salt on it. That's why I'm licking. I lick the salt. I like a little salt on the rim with my soda water. It's actually good. You should try it. I'm not that crazy. But this is what I told Ing yesterday. I told her this yesterday because I was thinking about it the night before. Is that lots of times with success and manifesting, you got to understand, it's the people you surround yourself with and the environment you allow yourself in is either going to make you or break you. Okay, it's going to rub off on you, no matter if you like it or not, aware of it or not. You understand? And I said, you know what? Like, we don't like this environment. And we keep on getting pulled back into it. You know what I mean? The contradiction part, pulled back into the drama, pulled back into the loud music and stuff like that. That maybe we just need to go somewhere. You know, maybe we just need to rent. Okay. Maybe we just go to Jomtien and rent, get in a whole different environment. And once we're in a new environment, the environment is successful. We want to be there. And from changing our environment, listen, guys, you can change your environment and not change your intention. You understand? You can change your environment and still keep your same intention, baby. I live in my dream house. I'm not saying changing your attention. I'm saying changing the environment. Because lots of times, if you just change your environment, where you're living, like that opens up miracles. Because basically what's happened when you're living somewhere you don't want to be, that's causing friction. All that does is remind you nothing is working. You're constantly living in the state of the old you. So when you actually just say, you know what, we're just going to move to a better area, Jomtien, we're both going to be happy. We both want to be there. We're going to have an awesome time. You know, it switches your state. Now all of a sudden it switches your state. You're enjoying life again. You're letting go of the whole, like, my dream house. And then all of a sudden your dream house comes. Okay. Just kind of giving you some things to kind of chew on. Understand, tribe? But kind of going back to the beginning of the video, let me take you with me for a second, is you only have to say something one time. Okay, now I don't want to go back through all my examples again. You know what I mean. You only have to say something one time, my friends. Okay, you only have to think about, hey, I want my dream house. That's it. Okay, we're moving. That's it. You only have to think about it one time. That's what you say. You don't contradict the state. You don't look for the how. You let it go and you let it be. And wouldn't it be amazing if you did this and within 3 to 6 weeks, it came to you? You got to think about that. You know, like even going back to Neville Goddard, you know, there are like many people that wanted to prove Neville Goddard wrong. Okay. A lot of those people are in the Law and the Promise. Okay. They basically went into it like, oh, they thought Neville Goddard was a quack, a Looney Tune, stuff like that. They wanted to prove him wrong, wanted to prove all his techniques wrong and stuff like that. So basically what they did, they went into it to prove him wrong. And they basically were like, you know what? I'm going to listen to you, do everything you tell me to do. But I'm here to tell you, like, I'm going to do everything you tell me to do, but I'm going to prove you wrong. It's not going to happen. Okay. And everybody that tried to prove Neville Goddard wrong ended up proving him right because they ended up manifesting and got what they wanted. Okay. But again, you have to ask yourself, well, when someone's trying to prove you wrong, why does it work for them better? Because it does work for them better. You know why? Because they don't care. You ever think about that? If I'm trying to prove you wrong, I'm going to listen to you and do everything you say, but I'm not going to care. I'm going to give it two shits. I'm not going to think about it all day long because I don't care. I'm unattached from it. And from me just not caring, me just being unattached, it comes to me. While the people that really, 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 really want it to happen, they're clinging to it, they have a death grip around it, it don't happen. Because they want it too bad. They think they have to say thousands of affirmations every day. Okay? And listen to this, okay? And we'll end the video after this. Okay, this is a good wrap up. Listen. It's not the manifesting technique. Okay? It's not the affirmations. It's not the journaling. Okay? It has nothing to do with those things. Okay? Listen, it's your state behind those things. It's the state behind your actions. Okay? It's the little secret thoughts you have when you're doing something. You understand? Like if you're doing a diet and you're kind of like 2 months into the diet and you tell yourself like, well, this isn't going to work. You know, every time I do a diet, they all end up the same way. They don't work. If you tell yourself that, well, guess what? That's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, whatever you believe to be true, you have to experience. Okay, so you're basically your own self-doom. You basically said the diet's not gonna work, so it's not gonna work. But you said it's not gonna work. You're manifesting your own desires. But what you have to understand, manifestation is a two-edged sword. It's literally giving you exactly what you say, exactly what you believe, exactly what you're thinking. Okay? And it doesn't matter if it's good for you or bad for you. It doesn't matter. Okay? Your subconscious mind don't care. Like I always say, your subconscious mind don't care about you, baby. It's just giving you what you give it. If you're giving it negative, well, it's going to flip back negative to you. If you sit there and say stuff, life is hard, well, it's going to show you life is hard. You understand? I was thinking about this today. I told you I'm going to ramble in this video. Okay? I live in Thailand for 5 years. Okay? Right now, it's the middle of May. Okay? So don't know when I'm going to post this video, but right now, it's the middle of May 2026. And now we're in the midst of moving it back out, buying a house. We've talked about moving to Jomtien the last couple days, because that's a beach city. It'd be nice to live by the beach. It's a little bit cooler, by the way. But when I started talking about Jomtien, and I started talking about that's a touristy area also. I had almost like I have a little Chad on my shoulder talking to my ear. Okay, that's what you have to pay attention to. What you assume to be true, you have to experience. What you tell yourself, you have to experience. So what I mean by that is, like, if I tell myself that, well, I gotta wait for rainy season, I gotta wait for low season to go in and get a place in Jomtien, because if I go during high season, I'm gonna be overcharged. I'm not gonna find a place and stuff like that. I'm gonna overpay for everything. Okay, listen. If I believe that to be true and I say it to myself, listen, I have to experience it. Okay? But me saying this to myself is also true. If I sit there and say, you know what, it doesn't matter when I go. It doesn't matter when I go to Jomtien. Okay? I'm the exception to the rule. It doesn't matter when I go. I'm going to get the best prices. I'm going to find the best place, okay, with the best deal. It doesn't matter when I go. And if I truly believe that, I have to experience it, okay? That's why I said we are our own, worst enemy. You ever hear that? I know you heard that before. We're saying little things we're unaware of, we don't catch. And that's what's manifesting in our life. That's exactly what's happening. Our internal beliefs, how we feel something's going to go, We're stating it to ourselves, or we're thinking about it, and it ends up happening. You understand? Like when you go out to eat, you should sit there and say, you know what? They're going to cook my food fucking perfect, dude. They're going to treat me like a VIP. Okay, they know who I am. I come here all the time. They're going to take some extra time cooking for the Chad. You know what I mean? That's how you think. And listen, guys, no matter if it's true, no matter if it doesn't occur, you think that way anyway. You get in a habit of, listen, you're getting in a habit of thinking the best outcome. That's what I'm doing. And you should be doing the same thing. You only think of the best outcomes for yourself. You don't think of, what if this, what if that? Life is hard. This is going to be tough. Because once you think that way, listen, you have to experience it that way. You understand, my friends? As I lick my bottle. But other than that, tribe, just want to share those thoughts with you. I don't know if I really even answered the question. You only have to say something one time. You only have to say something one time, baby. Okay? That's why even Bob, when I used to train with Bob Proctor a lot, he believed in the same thing too. You only have to say something one time. That's why Bob really linked decisions and standing behind your word, doing, like if you tell someone you're going to do something, you actually do it. Because you're aligned with behavior. You understand? Like I'm aligning everything. Like if I sit there and say, yeah, I sit there and say, we have a short little conversation. Yeah, we're going to move to Bangkok. We're going to buy a house. We have a short little conversation. You know what I mean? My mind accepts it as true. And let's say Ang and I never brought it up again. Okay. My dream house would actually come to me. And my subconscious mind is going to believe me. Why is my subconscious mind going to believe me? Because I'm aligned with when I say something, I always do it. You understand, in my personal life. Meaning like if I tell my best friend, if he wants me to come over and help him move, it's like, yep, I'll be there on Saturday. I actually show up and help. I don't make up an excuse when it comes down to it. Okay, when I say something, I do it. If I say I'm going to help somebody, I'm going to help them. Okay? And it's the same thing. It's somebody else, or it's the commitment with yourself. If you say you're going to wake up today and go to the gym and exercise, you do it. You hold to your commitments. You hold to your decisions. You hold to your standards and boundaries around your life. And when you hold to these, when you hold to everything, you got to understand you are in alignment with when I say something, it happens, it occurs. And again, you're in alignment with what? Your best version of yourself, the most successful version of you. Okay. Everything interconnects, my friends. Tribe. Okay. But this time, I'm honestly really going to go. But anyway, tribe, I love you guys. Thanks for sticking in. Just some thoughts I had to share with you guys. I was in a rambling mood, so I'm sure it wasn't that bad. I'm sure you got several nuggets out of this video. But anyway, if you need help or anything, comment below. We'll chat it up in the chat. If you need to reach out to me, everything's in the description. So anything to help you out, there's some freebies in there. Of course, there's stuff that costs money. But if you need to reach out to me, links in the description. You want to be part of the tribe, the link is in the description again. Other than that, remember, I love you guys. And let's rock and roll, baby. Okay? It's time to really draw the line in the sand and start living your dream life. Bottom line. Other than that, peace out.